I believe something really, really foundationally about podcasting and you. I think podcasting is the single greatest personal growth tool ever. Hey friends, it's Eric Nevins. I'm so excited to see you and that you've joined us for this episode of The Christian Podcaster. As always, The Christian Podcaster is the official podcast of Christian Podcasters Association, where you can find us on Facebook. So make sure if you're not in there that you go in and just connect with us in that group. Lots of great things happening in the group. That's totally free. We also have a whole bunch of other items and things that we do that can help you take your podcast and grow it. And actually, that's what we're going to talk about today, because I am excited to talk to you about a brand new coaching program that I just created for 2024. I want to do something that I've never done. I don't know about you, but as you're looking at your goals for 2024, have you challenged yourself just a little bit? Have you gone a little bit beyond what you think that you probably can pull off? Now, there's certainly something to be said for realistic expectations. But this time of year, I love to get together and just kind of let my mind wander and wonder to figure out, what is it that I want? What is it that I want to have happen in the new year? There's an old kind of cliche that if you set a goal, shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll end up among the stars, right? You've heard that. I think I've heard John Lee Dumas say that a few times. And it's true, right? So you set a big goal and then you see where you're going to go. Well, I want to talk about goals today in this episode of The Christian Podcaster, because I think they matter a great deal. And I want to tell you how this coaching program can actually help you through your goals in 2024 for your podcast specifically. So if you don't know me, my name is Eric Nevins, and I founded Christian Podcasters Association in 2017 as a free Facebook group. That's what it really started as. And it was kind of a whim. But I quickly realized, hey, we are bringing together a whole bunch of Christian podcasters in a place where we can connect, we can help one another, we can do things that it's just kind of tough to do with other people. So it was a really great Facebook group. And then in 2020, we started, still is, by the way, we started a membership where if you want to take your podcast to that next level, you need a community to kind of help you keep going. We do that. That's what we do. We get together, we bring in experts who can help us learn. We add new skills. We hold each other accountable, and we support each other on those days, when it's just like you feel like giving up, but you know that you've got a mission to handle, right? And then in 2021, started courses. I have a course to help you start your podcast. If you haven't started yet, now's your time, right? It's absolutely a time to get your podcast going. We can buy that on its own, work through it on your own, or you can do it with me. And there's another way to go about doing that as well. We roll that out every few months to help people start their podcasts. And then this year, in 2023, I started doing more podcast coaching. I definitely have helped coach people in the past. But I decided to get really serious about it. And there's a really good reason. That's because I love doing two things. One is I love the personal interaction with people. I love seeing that sort of spark that you have in your heart that God gave you, that you're like, I want, when you have a vision and you're like, I want to really serve and help people overcome whatever this thing is, anxiety, doubt, grief, divorce, whatever those things are, right? There's all those things, right? That we podcast about. For me, on my show that I started in 2016, it was, I wanted people to see the whole spiritual journey so that when they hit the hard parts, they can go through it, right? And know that there's more beyond that section. So that's what I do on my show, Halfway There. And then, of course, this show, we help Christian podcasters kind of build their show and get it to a place where you can have it do what you want to do with it. Okay. So that's great. Anyway, so I've got about 7 years of experience in podcasting. I help podcasters like you build your podcast into a really powerful tool for promoting your ministry or business, right? So getting the word out, networking. Oh my goodness, that is so huge for podcasting. Love that as well. Okay. So here's what I'm doing. And I'm going to give you a few ideas about why you might be interested in this project. Okay. First of all, in 2024, I decided to challenge myself to create a program and to create a podcast. Now, I'd love the sort of meta aspect of this, but I'm creating a program to kind of help podcasters like you that's just different. And it's going to be coaching the way I normally coach, showing up every month, diving in, but then we're going to do something really unique with it. We'll talk about things like your mindset, your strategy, your guest kind of list of who you're reaching out to, how to do that. Those are all kind of tactics and tricks and things like that. But we're gonna start adding piece by piece the blocks that it takes to really grow your show as we go. Okay, so let me just say a few things about why you may want to think about this before I tell you kind of how you can join and how you can get into it. Okay, so first of all, for some of you may have hustled as far as you can for podcast growth, right? Listen, I get how this goes. Maybe you're like me. I spent lots and lots of time. I spent thousands of hours listening to all of the gurus, listening to their podcasts, studying, reading their books, taking their courses. And I hustled and I got the podcast going and I got started and it was great. But it wasn't until I had somebody who could help me really think about it, really be a good sounding board that I didn't get my podcast started until I got that kind of person in my life. I kind of hustled as far as I could go. I tried lots of other things just on sheer grit. And here's the thing. I'm not convinced anymore that hustle is where it's at, right? If you have to hustle and you have to, there's some good things about hustling, but there's also a few things that I think are a little bit damaging, right? And sort of against the principle of shalom, the idea of shalom that God gives us in scripture, that I'm a little bit I think we need to work hard, but I think I'm a little wary of that these days, right? Things don't have to be hard in order to grow. Like do you believe that? Okay, so this is a great example, by the way. I'm going to just take an aside here and I'll come right back to it, to where I was. It's possible. It's a limiting belief to believe that in order to have success, you have to work hard, right? The harder you work, the more value you have, right? That's not necessarily true. And that applies to your podcast as well. It's a mindset thing, right? So, for instance, I've been using that principle when I use AI to generate show notes, for instance, or when I create something, I think, man, it just needs to be hard when I write an email so that the email is more valuable, right? As if it's more valuable if I just worked hard on it, right? No, get it down, get a first draft, go through it again, get a little help, and it'll get better, right? And that doesn't have to be a hard process. Same is true for your podcast. That's a limiting belief. Those are the kind of things that you can't overcome if you have this kind of idea and you're just kind of committed to hustling rather than addressing your mindset issues as well. See, here's the thing. I believe something really, really foundationally about podcasting and you. I think podcasting is the single greatest personal growth tool ever. Now, maybe there's others out there that I don't know about, but for me, podcasting was a huge, huge personal growth tool. I had to start networking with people. I had to start doing marketing. I had to learn copywriting. I had to do learn how to make invitations and reach out to people and offer services, all kinds of things that absolutely took just took me way out of my comfort zone. And I've grown as a person. I started reading and being interested in different kinds of material that I never thought I would read, right? I never thought I'd read about business strategy. I never thought I'd read about how to speak from a stage or build a speaking career, but I have, right? I've done those things because podcasting opens some avenues and they open something in me. Well, that can happen for you too, right? Maybe you've gone as far as you can so far and you need some expertise to help your podcast grow and flourish in a little bit different way. So maybe you haven't spent those years and years of like researching and studying and implementing podcasts, and you need some help. And you know that, and your heart's saying to you, it's probably time to get some help in 2024. Like, I want to invest in that. I'll tell you something. I'll just let you in on the secret. I'm doing that right now with something else in my business where I know I have hidden, I have had a certain like it's fine with me if I don't grow in this area, right? And I identified that recently, and I said to myself, you know what, in 2024, that's not going to be the case anymore. I'm changing that, and I'm going to get some help with it because that's sometimes what we need in order to get over that hump. And I don't know when I'm going to get some help with it or how that's going to work. Maybe I'm going to pay a coach, or I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I'm going to get some help with it because I want to grow past that limitation. Okay. So maybe you've hustled as far as you can and you need some expertise. Okay. Second, is it possible that you're convicted to stop half-hearting your show? Now, I was going to use a different word. It's a Christian show, so I'll just use half-hearting, not half, whating, right? Your show. Maybe you started with a great vision, right? And you still believe in it. You love it. You want to help people. You want to help on one of those topics, on whatever your topic is, but you've only been giving kind of a half effort because there's something in the back of your mind about being seen, about getting it out there, and you're not quite sure what that is. And so you kind of give half effort to the work that it takes to grow your podcast and to reap the rewards. Maybe it's time, but listen, man, I guess, can I just tell you this? I had this thought earlier today because of an interaction I had with somebody. Let me tell you something. There are 2 reasons that you should never say no to something. Okay. This might get me in some trouble. And if it does, send me an email. Okay. If you're listening to this, send me an email and tell me you didn't like it. I'd love to hear from you about this. I think those 2 things are these: time and money. And the reason is because time and money are actually commodities that you have, that you direct based on your desires, right? Based on what you value most. Now, look, I know we all have budgets and we all have to make decisions, and that's just the way life is. I get that. But if you want to move forward, but you're saying, oh, I want to grow my show, but I don't have time. Right? It's not that you don't have time, it's that you're not making time, right? Maybe you don't have time. In that case, you need to ask yourself a different question. Do I need to be podcasting right now? Right? That could be. Maybe you've chosen, and you say, but be honest about it. Maybe you've chosen, hey, my family is way more important to me, and they should be, right? Is way more important to me on the weekends than the 2 hours it takes me to make a podcast episode every week. Okay. But be honest with yourself about that, right? Hey, if it's putting food on the table, sure. If it's taking another vacation or whatever the things are, right? Whatever the things become priorities for you. If you're prioritizing other things in your budget than investing in your podcast, okay, but be honest about that. All right. I hope I'm not, well, maybe I don't hope I'm not stepping on toes. I hope maybe some of you are like, oh man, Nevins is bringing the fire. I don't know. For me, I say these things, friends, because for me, they were really, really challenging. And so I'm kind of talking to myself right now as well, which is good. You know what? If you're going to preach, you got to preach to yourself first also, but I'm inviting you into it. Okay. So maybe that's you, and you kind of got discouraged along the way. You started your show, didn't see the results you wanted. Maybe you got discouraged and you slowed down a little bit, or you took your foot off the gas and you were like, I don't know. See, the thing is, you can't keep going. Like, you can't, eventually if you take your foot off the gas, you're going to stop. Right. But you can't make a 100-mile journey with your foot off the gas. You have to actually keep your foot on the gas, keep it going. And you go through all these different stages, different parts of the journey. And then you get to where you want to go. And it's got to be that way. Like, that's just the way every journey is. So maybe you have nagging in the back of your mind a feeling that you can do more if you commit to it. And if that's you, then this program that I'm going to talk about here in just a minute is definitely for you. If you decide you're making that decision, you're coming around, the calendar's flipping over and you're going, hey, I would like to invest in this. I'm going to commit. I'm going to double down on it. Yeah. Yeah. Then that's for you. Okay. Let me give you one more reason you might be interested in this program. All right. You want to unlock podcasting's power for connection in your business or ministry, but you've stalled. Now, I kind of alluded to this a little bit before. I think podcasting is a fantastic business tool, development tool, networking tool. In fact, it's probably my favorite thing about podcasting that I did not expect. When I worked in what I affectionately now term as Bank Joe, which incidentally today, I was not too far from that building. I could see it from the coffee shop I was getting coffee in on my way to an appointment today. And it made me really happy to see that building go, oh, I don't have to go there. That was great. All right. But when I worked there, I did not care about networking, about talking to people at all. And that's not because those people were, not interesting at all. It's just those weren't my priorities, the working in those kinds of places. But what I found out when I started podcasting is really powerful for connecting with people. There was an author who reached out to me kind of within my first 6 months of starting my show and said, hey, I'll send you a free copy of my book. Would you have me on your show? Sweet. I would love that. Hadn't really gotten free copies. By the way, friends, if you're not getting free copies of books for your podcast yet, you're doing it wrong. So never buy a book again. If you're a podcaster, you can absolutely get books for free. Super easy because you have a podcast. If you want me to do an episode, email me, comment on this, and let me know. Okay. But maybe you've stalled. So maybe you want to become the authority on your subject. You want to meet more leaders in your niche. I mean, whatever your niche is, let's say you're doing kids ministry. Who are the people? There's probably people in your niche that you are interested in connecting with, right? So those people are people that you can meet because you have a show, right? I sent an email the other day. There's a guy I've been following on Twitter, and I love his stuff. It's very interesting. He's always got some great insights about church jobs and things like that. And I've wanted to reach out to him. Finally, I did on Facebook. Finally, we got in touch. We sent some emails back and forth, and he's scheduled to be on my podcast. And I get a chance to hear a story, to learn about him, and maybe help him out, right? So I'm hopeful that I can be a blessing to him because of my podcast. And who knows? Maybe he'll tell some people about me. Maybe I can help him out. Who knows? But what I do know is that it's creating something that will last, and those relationships are really, really valuable. Here's the thing. You know that you can create a show that will serve and change the lives of your audience. And maybe for you, 2024 is the time, right? I love that. My friends, let me tell you something. Coaching brings honest feedback combined with knowledge can change the trajectory of your podcast and even your life. It really can. I believe that deeply. Well, what is this program? Let me tell you a little bit about it. In the program, here's how this works. We're going to meet every month for 6 months, starting January 2024. Now, if you're hearing this after that, still send me an email. I'd love to connect with you. But maybe there'll be a way, but we'll have to work that out. We're going to discuss your mindset limitations that led to these kind of results that we're talking about, like kind of half-hearting your show and kind of getting as far as you can, or just like, not sure what you want to do. We'll explore strategies and brainstorm some ideas that you can then implement. So we'll do that in our sessions together. Then you'll go off for 3 weeks and work on those and get that going. You'll have access to me via Voxer so that you can ask me questions in between sessions. And then we'll compare where you started to where you end up and kind of set your trajectory going forward. So my whole goal is so that in January, you're going to be in one place. And then in July, you'll be able to go, hey, look how far I've come, right, over that 6 months. That's what I would love to do. Now, there's one other thing that I haven't shared with you just yet. So that I am actually really, really excited about. And I'd love to invite you to do. This won't be for everybody, may or may not be for you, but you're invited to consider it and join. All right. So it's this coaching program will be completely recorded and turned into a podcast of its own. Now, I feel like that's a little bit meta, right? Like to have a podcast that is about coaching, or it's coaching podcasters, right? A podcast about coaching podcasters. Does that make sense? Right. So there's a couple reasons that I want to do it that way. Obviously, this becomes a marketing tool, something I can share with people and say, this is what it's like to coach with me, because I want people to hear it. I want people to see it. I want people to want to coach with me. So that's just transparently me telling you why I would do that. But I think there's also a great benefit for you as well. And that is that I'm going to invest massive amounts of time and energy into you to create the absolute best experience for you I can. I always do that with my coaching clients. But I want to be able to share your results with the world. Now, then what happens? My goal is I'm going to be sharing this all over the internet, on my mailing list, on everybody, just out there across, all my social media feeds. I intend to promote it really heavily and regularly. This isn't a one and done shot. So my goal is to just continually be advertising it and putting it out there, probably putting some ads behind it, that kind of thing, in order to help it grow, right? So that's what I want. So you're going to be able to get not only the coaching, not only the results on your podcast, but also some exposure that will come with being in this podcast, which I think is pretty cool. I think it'll be a pretty interesting opportunity for you as well. So here's the thing. I do have a few, we'll call them guidelines, right? About who this might be for. If you're listening to this and this is resonating with you and you're going, oh man, that would be great. I would really love to do that. Let me just share these things with you. And let's see, is this you? So there's a few of them. Let's see, 5 of them here. Okay. First one, I have at least 100 published episodes, right? So maybe you've been podcasting for a while and you're kind of stagnant. That happens a lot. This is the time. This is like the perfect thing for you. Now, if you don't have 100 episodes and you're interested, I'd invite you to apply. If you're close. If you're not close, you can still apply. You can reach out to me and I'd be happy to talk to you. But that's kind of the thing. And the reason that it's 100 episodes is because I want you to have a process. I want you to have done it. I want you to show me that you're committed to taking action, right? That's why. So if those things apply to you and you're like, maybe it's, not quite 100, or it's, I'm not going to throw out another number, but if you go, I still am interested, that this is a little bit, it's 100 or close. It's fungible, right? So I'll leave it up to your heart. If you go, yeah, I still want to ask, then do it. You also have to have a problem with your podcast that you want to solve next year. So if you're going, hey, maybe my problem is you've stagnated. Maybe your problem is, you can't get the guests you want, whatever the thing is, you got to have some sort of problem that you're committed to solving next year, right? That's what we're going to do in coaching. Number 3, a desire to grow your podcast and reach substantially more people. So you grow your podcast's reach substantially in 2024. If you want to do that and you're like, that's the thing that I want to do next year, is I'm investing in my podcast. Yes. this absolutely is for you. Okay. Next one, a willingness to invest in your podcast financially and but for both tools and the coaching program itself. So I will just address that. This is a paid coaching program. You will pay to be in the program as well as get the other benefits. But there's a really good reason for that, right? You're going to invest so that you're invested in the results as well, right? I think that's really important. And maybe there'll be some tools along the way that you're like, hey, actually, I need to invest in that. So you need to have a little bit of margin. If you just have absolutely no budget, may not be great for you because, maybe you just need to invest in other things at the moment. And that's totally fine. But if you do, and you're like, hey, yeah, I do want to invest in my show, this is right for you. And then you need to agree to have your sessions recorded and shared online in content, including but not limited to short run podcasts, social media, and blog content. Okay. So, and there'll be other things like that. So I intend to take all of this and share it widely. And you need to know that and be willing to do that. So if you're interested, if you've listened this far and you're listening to all these things, you're like, how do I get in to this program? How do I get there? Well, there's an application process. You fill it out, you answer a few questions for me. And this is going to give me kind of a sense of where you are at the moment and how we can grow together. Here's what happens after you fill out the application. The application link is going to be in the show notes of this episode. So all you have to do, click that link and you're good to go. Okay. So I'll reach out to you shortly after you submit your application. We'll set up a call to discuss the program and how it will help you. And overall, we'll make sure we're a good fit for one another. Do we mesh? Can we work together? Are you interested in it? We'll go through all of those things. Once we decide it's a good fit, then you just go ahead and purchase your coaching package. And we set our first appointment up for January 2023. And then each month we kind of meet together every month and we implement the actions and watch your podcast grow. Then the podcast, I'm expecting this to be out in August of 2024. It'll probably be its own show and it'll be out there as sort of a short run series. If you don't know about short run series, a short run series is a podcast where you have a limited number of episodes and that's it. You don't ever intend to put any more out there. I've been really fascinated by those for a long time. And I started asking myself the question, what could I do? Well, this is what I came up with. So I'm inviting you into it if you'd like to be with us. And that'll come out in August of 2024. Friends, let me encourage you. You only have so much time in life to devote to serving the people the Lord has called you to, and every single moment counts. Get the help you need to reach the people that God's called you to. Don't let that be the thing that prevented you. Again, I go back to time or money. Time and money are resources. And you just have to figure out how to use them to create the most good. Friends, people who I coach, I've seen people nearly double their downloads in a month. I've seen people really connect with their communities better. I like to coach with people who are confident and who grow in confidence over the times that we're meeting together because they know that they're doing the right things and they see results as a result of it. The people I coach like to start movements by bringing the kingdom of God to bear on their niche. That's what it's all about as far as I'm concerned. If the idea of more fully pursuing your podcast in 2024 resonates with you and you meet this criteria above, please fill out the application to get started. It's linked in the show notes right here. Once again, I'm only taking a limited number of people for this, but I'm looking for a handful and I would love to have you in this so that we can create this podcast together. I think it's going to be really super cool. Not only that part, but also the results that you're going to see, which will be the most important part. So friends, I really appreciate it. Make sure you click that link in the show notes so that you can apply for it. Or there's a post in Christian Podcasters Association pinned at the top. You can join us and apply right there as well. Friends, this has been a good time to just share with you. I hope you're interested in this program. If you're not, let me ask you to do one other thing. Do you know anybody who might be a good fit, who might be interested? You know another podcaster who you go, oh yeah, actually, this would be great for you. Do you? If you do, just pass this on to them. Just text them the video or the audio of this and say, hey, is this something that you're interested in doing next year? That would be fantastic, and it would help me out so much as well. Friends, I appreciate you, and until next time, keep podcasting. Hey friends, I know that I said this in the episode, but don't forget to go to show notes. I put the link to the application right there. All you got to do is click it, fill it out. I'd love to hear from you. Can't wait. See you next time.